It is Saturday, October 9th. The weekend is here, and this is Love Notes, daily devotions from Holy Trinity Lutheran Church. Psalm number 90, verse 12 says, "So teach us to count our days that we may gain a wise heart." It's the only place in Scripture where this instruction is given to humans. Teach us to count our days so that we may gain a wise heart. The meaning seems to be that given the vastness of the universe, given the length of time, the span of history, and given the shortness of human life, we should be aware that we only get so many days. So what do we do with that? How do we live our lives knowing that we only have so many days? It seems to me that in our current culture, the way that we interpret wisdom in this case is to cram in as much as we possibly can in terms of activities and things to achieve and items on a to-do list. That when we realize that our life is short, that we must find everything we can possibly do and cram it all in before our life ends. Doing is what it's all about. But if you read the psalm further, it seems to mitigate against that sort of thing. It says in verse 14, "Satisfy us in the morning with your steadfast love, so that we may rejoice and be glad all our days." Seems to suggest that instead of hopping right out of bed and turning on the computer first thing, making sure that we get a few emails answered before we have our first cup of coffee, that maybe we need to take a moment and rejoice that we once again have awoken from sleep and that we have looked around the world and found our lungs full of air, our heart beating, the birds singing, a loved one next to us perhaps. That we should be satisfied in the morning with the steadfast love of God and remind ourselves that we are thankful for everything that we have because we are beggars and God has given us what we need. Instead of rushing off to begin our work day or our activity day or our calendar-filled day, we should be satisfied with God. The next verse says, "Make us glad as many days as you have afflicted us, and as many years as we have seen evil." It's a beautiful poetic way of asking for this. As much as we have suffered, give us just as much joy. As much evil as we have endured at the hands of enemies and horrible words and attacks, give us that many years where we have goodness. Because only God can deliver this. A life of suffering is not voided because it's connected to the eternal goodness of God. A life with affliction and surrounded by evil is not something that overcomes us because God will triumph and vindicate us in the end. The psalmist goes on these counting of days to say, "Let your work be manifest to your servants, and your glorious power to their children. Let our eyes see and our hands touch and feel the mighty works of God all around us." I don't know about you, but when I'm so busy that I can't think straight, I can barely see my own life, let alone what God is doing in the world. And if we think about it, God is so active and busy all the time, giving the goodness that has been promised to us. There are moments of resurrection and grace all around us if we'll stop and see them. Finally, after all of those things, the psalmist finally says, "Let the favor of the Lord God be upon us and prosper for us the work of our hands." After all of the thanksgiving, after all of the noticing of God's grace, then the psalmist says, "Give us your favor, Lord, and prosper for us the work of our hands," the work that we do each day. Bless it. Bless it not only to us, but bless it so that the world is blessed by it. Prosper the work of our hands, Lord, because you've given us life and breath, and now we can turn to our neighbor and do what we've been called to do in your name, making the world a better place each day. Let us pray. Holy and mighty God, let us not confuse busyness with blessedness. Let us not confuse our own life with the life of the world and the life you wish to give us. Help us, Lord, to count our days by noticing you in the midst of our lives, in the midst of the world. And then, Lord, once we know you're there, bless our work, bless our toil, so that the world may be a better place as we do God's work with our hands. Amen.